Hello and welcome to the Drug Life Cycle Minute. I'm your host, Philip Day. Our guest today is Dr. Mukesh Kumar, Chief Innovation Officer of Drug Life Cycle DLTA. Good afternoon, Dr. Kumar.
Thank you, Philip. Nice seeing you again.
Nice seeing you too. The topic today is this. Clinical trials are run, of course, not just in the United States, but all over the world. And sometimes they're run differently. Now, my first question for you is this. Is it true that each country has its own rules and regulations for clinical trials?
That is true. Every country makes rules that are suitable for its population. And there are administrative forms and government approvals that you need to get from whichever country you want to do your trials in. That said, operationally, trials all over the world follow a universal standard called the Good Clinical Practices, and that standard is applicable no matter where you are. So everybody in the world, from an operational point of view, does the clinical trial the same way. Of course, the administrative and legal forms differ from country to country.
Okay, so there's definitely a standard by which every country has to meet, but there are still rules and regulations apart from that. It sounds like that's what you're saying.
That is true. That is true.
Okay.
So standards are common. Rules are obviously country specific.
Okay. Now, would you have to redo a lot of steps in each country for multinational trials?
Not really. Not really. If the trial is planned well, then the same steps that you use in one country can be replicated in another country. You don't have to redo most of the work. Like, for example, you don't have to rewrite your protocols. You don't have to rewrite most of the documentation that you will use in your trial. Much of the planning can be done in parallel. So there are no delays or there are no other issues with doing a trial, provided you're planning it well. Of course, if you don't plan it well, then you'll be doing it again and again in different countries, and it would add to time and cost.
Sure. Well, that brings up some practical issues too. What are those practical issues that you have to plan for a multinational clinical trial?
So at the planning stage of the trial, if you know that this trial is going to be multinational, there are many things you can do to make sure that every country is covered in your plans. For example, you can plan your clinical protocol in such a way that it is acceptable to multiple countries. You can plan your informed consent. You can plan your case report forms. You can plan your project team meetings and trainings and selection. There are many other things you can do almost at the same time so that you don't have to spend too much time later on to catch up. So project launch stages are the ones where you can save the most amount of time and also lose. If you do not plan it well, then you would lose all that time.
Okay. Well, that certainly helps me, makes me feel better being a consumer with drugs, that there's still a standard, and that no matter what, the United States and other countries are going to do their best to make sure that the patient is safe and that the trials meet certain standards. Am I right about that?
Yes, you are right.
Okay, very good, very good. Dr. Kumar, thank you so much for joining us today, and I want to thank our audience for joining us for the Drug Life Cycle Minute. You can find out more about us at www.druglifecycle.com. Be sure to like our Facebook page and follow us on Twitter and LinkedIn. Take control with DLTA. Have a healthy day.